What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Sports Planet podcast. I'm joined once again by Alex Valadez. How you doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing not too bad, not too bad. Thank you for asking. So on today's episode, we got the Angel Reese Backlash from the Women's Final Four this past weekend. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about Damian Lillard and his loyalty to the Portland Trailblazers. So like I said, first, we'll get into it. Angel Reese, that seems to be the biggest topic of this past weekend, Alex. Obviously a lot of people, I don't want to say, I want to say that the women's game doesn't really have that much exposure as compared to the men's game. But what happened with Angel Reese and the You Can't See Me to Caitlin Clark really brought a lot of exposure to the women's game. But before that, Caitlin Clark, obviously, baller. She was going through the tournament. I want to say she set the record for the most points in women's history. I don't know if it was women's and men's, but I want to say NCAA history. And then, obviously, so that she beat South Carolina in the Final Four, and that brings her and Iowa to face LSU in the national championship game. And then, so as many know, Caitlin Clark in the Final Four game against South Carolina, she did the You Can't See Me, and everybody was praising her, right? And then Angel Reese, she got her payback, and she did it back to Caitlin Clark, and all of a sudden people are saying, no. Bad sportsmanship, you're being classless, learn how to win, this and that. So what do you have to say about this, the backlash that Angel Reese got? Oh, and also pointing to her ring finger and all that.
Yeah. No, I mean, here's my thing. It's really funny when people try to bring respect and class into the sports world on this type of situation. Caitlin Clark told somebody, shut up, we're up 15, like when someone was talking to them.
Yeah.
Like, just, standard trash talk.
Yeah.
Now, Angel did, follow her on the court to find her to do that. But here's my thoughts. Nobody cared when Pat Bev put the hand, or not that nobody cared, but nobody called for a riot when Pat Bev did the too little for LeBron, or when Austin Reeves did it to him.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody called for Antoine Winfield Jr.'s head when he went like this to Tyreek Hill when he was on the ground. And then, people were saying like Dave Portnoy and all these other sports media heads were saying like, oh my God, Caitlin Clark is all she thinks about. How could you let that take over the moment? Did everybody forget Richard Sherman and Michael Crabtree post game interview, one of the greatest moments in playoff history, at least in my adolescence in terms of an interview? You look at that. You look at everything that's going on, and people get really picky because Caitlin Clark, and by the way, I looked it up real quick. It was for both men and women's at 191 points. Okay. So she, she was on one. She was like my cheat code to gamble on the women's tournament
on any point,
because it was so easy to just look up her stats and figure out okay, I could bet her props or I could bet this.
Yeah.
My whole thing is it's overblown. It's not a big deal. People can talk shit. People can, own the moment. Caitlin Clark is, I give her a lot of credit on top of what she did on the court. She handled the media so well because she could have taken the high road and not said anything, but she actually defended Angel Reese and was like, no, she had every right to do that. She won. When I was winning, I was celebrating. It's her turn. She earned it.
Yeah.
I just think for me, the most important thing we have to take away from this is the fact that this is a talking point on this show. It's a talking point on social media. I was already committed to getting courtside seats to the Sparks game this year. Now I'm even more excited because it's the women's game is it's growing. For me, being someone who loves sports, you want to see the women's sports get their love. We saw women's soccer, the national team. They started getting their praise. They started getting their due diligence. Even people were like, "Oh, they're better than the men's," and all those types of debates that'll happen as teams get better. But I love this. I think Angel Reese, as you call it, the bad guy, viewpoint. Like she dug into it. She had all these TikToks ready before she even got to the game, and she did that Kanye like, oh, they asked me, you know, what would happen if I didn't win. Guess we'll never know. I was like, dude, she's leaning into this role.
I love it. Playing the villain role.
Yeah, I love it. She embraced it. It was awesome. I don't think she was wrong. I just think it was just a part of it. Like this, first of all, this women's tournament garnered so much viewership that, you know, people that I guarantee you Dave Portnoy didn't see the first round. I didn't see the first round. I'm going to be honest. I didn't start catching it until Caitlin Clark started going crazy. And I was like, oh, I got to tap in. And, you know, it's the right you earn when you're winning. It's my same argument with baseball. You can't pimp a home run. You can't celebrate after a strikeout. Shut up. Have fun. Enjoy it. If you don't want someone celebrating on your turf or celebrating in your face, well, then give them a reason to not celebrate. Stop them.
Yeah, do better. And kind of getting to your point about this, I think a lot of people, like it brought a lot of exposure to the women's game, like how I said earlier. And one quote or saying we always hear is there's no such thing as bad publicity, you know? So everybody could be coming here for what the backlash that Angel Reese got, but it doesn't matter because it's still shining light on the game. But the only thing that I don't like is that nobody's really talking about the game itself, because obviously LSU won that one.
LSU smoked that Iowa pack.
Yeah. They won it pretty easily, right? So, but aside from that, people aren't focusing on the game rather than Angel Reese. But kind of getting back to your point about how a lot of people probably didn't watch it, and it's crazy because it could be because of Caitlin Clark. I wouldn't doubt it. But in terms of the national championship game for the women's side, according to Front Office Sports on Twitter, that the national championship game for the women's had 9.9 million viewers, which is more than any women's college basketball game ever, any MLS game ever, any Stanley Cup game since 1973, the 2023 Orange Bowl, the 2023 Sugar Bowl, 2023 Thursday Night Football, 2021 NBA Finals, and then the list just goes on, you know? So it's just crazy to think, like, obviously, I feel like that's also why it's getting so much attention, because obviously people came to see Caitlin Clark, and then when they see, like, I guess if you want to say the hero in the story fall, and then Angel Reese comes out, plays the villain role, they're like, oh no, she's doing this wrong, this and that, blah, blah. Like how you mentioned Dave Portnoy. He called her what was it, a classless piece of shit or something like that? Classless piece of shit. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because a couple weeks before that, when Pat Bev, you already mentioned, Pat Bev did the too small on LeBron, Dave Portnoy responded to that saying, like, love it, you know? So it's like, it's okay for Pat Bev to do it to LeBron, but when Angel Reese does it to Caitlin Clark, it's not okay? Like, pick a side, you know? Like, there's no reason you should be praising one guy over here, and then when the girl does it over here, it's all like, nah, it's terrible for the game. And it's like the only thing that you could say is that she followed her. But other than that, it's like, who cares? You know, like, this is showing if you never played sports in your life, you wouldn't get it, right? Because, you know, like, when you played a sport, you have that little trash talk throughout the game, and whoever gets the last lap, you're going to let that guy know, or that the opponent know that, yeah, we won. And that's what I love about Angel Reese. She did the you can't see me to Caitlin Clark at the free throw line, and then did it again later on in the game. Yeah. And then she pointed at her ring finger like, come on, let's get it, you know? And that's the only, like, that, I feel like that's the only thing wrong you could say, that she followed her. But, like, if you've played a sport before, you know that's going to come. And I'm glad, like how you mentioned, Caitlin Clark spoke up and defended Angel Reese, because she knows that it's all like, I did it first, and, like, I dished it, I can take it, you know? So it's like, I don't get why you guys are getting mad. But I don't know, man. Like, and then, another thing too, that annoyed me was how First Lady Joe Biden wanted to invite both LSU and Iowa to the White House. So
corny.
Like, when does that ever happen? I understand from the viewpoint if she's saying, oh, because it was so historic. Okay, but you don't say that right away. Like, you're gonna say LSU, congrats to Iowa for a great season, but LSU is our champion. You're coming here. So it's like, you can just tweet that out. You don't have to bring Iowa to there too. And it's all like, dude, come on. Like, what? I don't know. What do you got to say about that?
Oh my God. No, that's moving the goalpost.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
There's no, like, are you serious? Like, we have to invite her. No, to me, all it's saying is she was probably rooting for Iowa. Cause I think, I think Jill wasn't even let into the LSU, locker room before the game. I think she was trying to go into both locker rooms and just like, wish them well, as the first lady does, like in these types of events. And they wouldn't let her in apparently, but like, clearly she's a Caitlin fan, so I get it. But you could show up to Iowa, to her class, to her school, or something.
Exactly.
But like, don't take the moment away from LSU. LSU won the championship. They earned the right to either go or not to go. It's not for you to invite it to. Oh, you know what? I thought Teresa Johnson did amazing. Like, I'm gonna invite her too. Like, it's dumb. Yeah. Very, it's like very. What's the word? It's very. Sorry, I'm blanking on the spot. It's very
nitpicking. I don't know.
No, it's like very short-sighted to say that, because I think in good intention she meant like, oh my God, this is such a historical game for the sport. Let's have both of them come. No, shut up.
It's all like she's trying to give essentially participation visits, because like, you made it to the final, you're gonna come visit the White House too. It's like, since when do we see that? It's all like, did they invite the Phillies when they lost to the Astros? No. Are they going to invite San Diego State to the White House now that they lost to UConn? No. It's like,
are they going to invite the Eagles?
I'm on that. I set myself up for that one. I was trying to like go a different direction, and then I saw you were like, oh, I'm gonna slip that one in real quick.
The third team you said, I was like, man, this guy won the biggest elephant in the room right now.
I was trying to avoid it, but thank you for bringing it up, man. But so like I already mentioned, Final Four. So LSU beats Iowa in the men's. UConn beats San Diego State. Anything else you want to say before we move on to the next topic?
Real quick, so do you watch March Madness every year, or are you like me, where I just got into it last year personally? Like, have you been watching it?
Yeah, it's like recently, like I used to be a really big college basketball fan, but in the recent years, I haven't really been paying too much attention to it. But that doesn't matter. Like, whenever March comes around, once the NCAA tourney starts up, like I'm watching it, because like you never know. Like, you have a 1 through 6. There's 64 teams, so you never know what's going to happen. Like we saw this year. Purdue lost first round to FDU, and as a 16 seed,
to Princeton.
No, Purdue lost to FDU in the first round.
Did? Oh, my bad.
Yeah. I think Princeton was a 13 seed. I want to say. I'm not too sure though.
Oh, okay.
So like that's why I watch it, because like I don't really have I used to be a Duke fan, because back in the day I loved Jabari Parker, Brandon Ingram, the Jahlil Okafor days with Justice Winslow, so back then I would root for Duke more, but recently I just watch it now more when it's March Madness. So now I'm coming into it more open-minded, like kind of hoping for a buzzer beater or like an upset, But other than that, I just watch it for March Madness at this point.
So for me, this year I made a commitment to bet on every single game, and that thankfully wasn't a financial issue. Thankfully, I came out profitable. It got questionable sometimes, I'll tell you that much. I think the first 3 days I started off like losing in the morning, so it was like, I'm sweating the afternoon. But to me, I like this tournament because anyone can show up, and you just have to be better than that team. Not all season, today.
Just that day,
And I'm seeing a lot of discourse in the sports community on Twitter saying that, it's the tournament's flawed because no one wants to see some of these lower seed teams make it so far. Well, my argument to that is, well, then that team that they faced should have won. And if you're saying like, oh, it's too many teams. No, to me, that sounds like me maybe 4 years ago before I really appreciated March Madness. Like you have to watch it and experience it. When a lower seed beats a double digit seed beats a top seed, oh, epic. I'm at work. I'm at work going crazy. So I'm just gonna make it known. Anybody who has a problem about that is like screaming, like, okay, like you don't want people to really, you don't want this tournament to be what it's always been, and it's been a tournament of if you're gonna be the best, prove you're the best. If you're gonna be a national champion, you got to take care of these quote unquote easier opponents, and if you can't, you had a bad game, tough shit. Like embrace the madness. That's why it's such a beautifully named tournament, March Madness. So
March Madness, yeah. March Madness turns into March Sadness for a lot of teams, you know, because it doesn't matter if you had a great season. You could be perfect going into the tournament, and it doesn't matter because one bad game throws everything out the window. Like we saw that with South Carolina and the women's side. They were perfect. Doesn't matter. Caitlin Clark shows up and she sends them home, you know? So that, like how you're saying, that's the beauty in it. Like any team can win. Like any team can have an off night any night. So like if that's that night that like during a tournament game where you have your worst game of the season, it's going to suck because it's single elimination. You lose, you're out of here. You're going home. But
yeah. And also, too, just the fact that my alma mater, Grand Canyon University, like, because they're in the tournament, it was almost, like, even more epic for me because I was like, shock the world and beat Gonzaga. You know, I was being annoying as hell in the group chat. Like, but, yeah, no, I love the tournament.
It didn't happen,
and plus, the tournament is the best exposure for kids at smaller schools because all they have to do is have a crazy game and they can either transfer to a better program or flip it and you know,
or
get themselves a nice little exactly. And before I wrap anything up, love the NIL deals. I saw that some of the women's players had some NIL deals. Let's give some bags out to the women's side. Like I think we just need to keep on putting money in these kids' pockets because they were doing it anyways before. Let's do it legally now with the W-9 or whatever you want to call it. But you know, take care of the athletes, man, because one bad movement, kid loses his career. Hey, at least the NIL money can hold him down while he figures out the next steps. You know, so love college sports.
Now that you mentioned that, real quick before we move on to Dame, that is one thing that annoyed me before because it's all like, so you guys have them on scholarship and you guys can't really give them an actual meal plan, but it's all like, so they have to get money from elsewhere just to be able to eat. Because like, if you're a college kid, not even just a college kid, we'll just say if you're a student athlete, right? You're waking up super early to train, whatever, and then you go to school, you go through your classes, then study hall, and then practice later on at night. So it's all like they don't really have time to get a job or a part-time job, let's just say, to make money to be able to like just buy food, you know. So that was one of the things that the NCAA really messed up on was like, just give them a meal plan that they can eat whenever they want. Just go to the school cafeteria, they can grab whatever they want. They're bringing in billions for you. I'm not saying just for that school, but the NCAA is $1 billion organization. So you're telling me you can't give the kids a good meal plan where they don't have to worry about getting money from someone else or like a booster, you know? It was bullshit by the NCAA. So now that you mentioned the NIL deals, I love it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So now moving on to Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers. So I want to say you mentioned this to me and about this topic you were seeing trending and all that. But Damian Lillard's loyalty to the Portland Trailblazers, it's kind of getting annoying now, you know? Because, like, all right, before it's like, oh, you could say he's staying for the money. Okay, yeah, perfect. That's fine. Like, I'm not going to tell someone what to do. Like, oh, no, go to that team to earn less money so you can win a ring. Well, no. That's his first deal, whatever, go chase the bag. I don't care. But it seems like recently he's been like, I'm not running from the grind, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, can't you say that he's actually running from the grind by staying in Portland, knowing he doesn't have to have the pressure of winning a championship? And we mentioned this also because just yesterday we saw him drop a freestyle and he disses people that are always telling him to go ring chase. So like this topic really, I think it meshes, it comes up pretty well right now. So what do you have to think? What do you have to say about Damian Lillard's loyalty or him just dissing the fans wanting him to leave Portland?
My thing with these types of situations. So it's cool when you see loyalty in sports, outside of where he got drafted. Kobe was a Laker for his entire career. We have Dirk Nowitzki, who was a Maverick for his entire career. We have Tim Duncan, who was a Spur for his entire career. Now, if Dame wants to be a Trailblazer and be like the iconic, like the Trailblazer for that organization, that's great. But you kind of got to pick a side on this at this point, because in his entire career, outside of maybe a handful, maybe 3 or 4 seasons where I think they actually tried to build a core nucleus along with him, they don't do anything to put him in a position to win. And, it gets into the argument of like, should Dame have more control in player management and who the GMs are going after? But it does kind of give him that cop out to say, I'm staying loyal. I'm going to grind through whatever is coming my way. But I mean, ring culture, I almost want to say in the last decade, I think I've seen ring culture. Honestly, it's all because of LeBron. Ring culture is even a higher standard than it was before, because everybody goes straight to rings when it comes to arguments on players' resumes, which I don't think it necessarily didn't before, but it didn't hold as much weight as it does now. So I feel like for Dame, it's like it kind of is ducking the work, because he just has, I'm just going to show up and do my best, and then if it happens, it happens. It's tough, because I get being loyal to one franchise. That's cool if you can stay with one franchise. It's not easy. Negotiations are nasty.
Business side takes in place sometimes. It's all like, and they have to separate.
I mean, look at, real quick, Bobby Wagner. He just signed back with Seattle. He said last year he signed for the Rams for less money because he felt disrespected by the Seahawks' low offer, but he never wanted to leave.
A year later, he goes back. Is that because he wanted to go back, or is that because the Rams just broke apart?
A combination of both. Because I think if the Rams were still competing for rings, I don't think he would have left as easy. But, man, it kind of is only because the Trailblazers as an organization don't even make. I mean, look, the Mavs are possibly about to fall out of the playoffs, but they went and got Kyrie. That's putting in the work effort. I don't see Trailblazers doing that. They flipped Josh Hart to the Knicks, and now Josh Hart is going to become a Knick legend over there because of how much they love his hustle.
That's It's all like, and then they traded CJ. Oh, I think what was it last season? It's all like, so you could just see that they're all like, we're not going to win a championship, Dame. If you want to leave, we'll trade you. But if you want to stay, that's cool with us. And I feel like at this point, Dame's all like, I'll give my stats, I'll give my money, but I'm not running from the grind. But I'm like, you are running from the grind, because you'll never have any pressure of winning a championship, because no one is ever going to say, oh yeah, Portland, I think they'll have a chance this year. No one's going to say that, especially in the West, how we see it now. It's all like, I feel like if he were to say, all right, let me go somewhere else, he's seen what's happened with, like, let's just say LeBron and KD, everyone's saying that they're swapping teams, this and that. I feel like he's seen that if he goes and follows, or he moves to a different team and he doesn't win, I feel like he'll probably, I don't know if he's thinking that or not, but in my opinion, he probably feels like, oh, that'll damage my career or my reputation more than me just staying here, But it's like at this point, like how you were saying, just pick a side. Like, if you're going to stay there, that's fine. Stop saying you're not running from the grind, because you are. There's no expectations over there. And I don't know, man. That's.
I feel like maybe for Dame, it's not even trying to be the best player. It's more so he just wants to be the best he can be, secure the generational wealth to make sure his family and his family moving forward are taken care of.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, because the other thought I'm thinking about is like there's so many NBA players we could name that spent so much time with a team and ultimately never won a ring, and it's like they kind of fade to obscurity, because like every time I hear the name Alex English, I'm like, why do I never think of him like necessarily? Because like remember him. But like, you know, I go back and I look and I'm like, oh, it's because I saw he doesn't have any rings, and I'm like, oh, that's why people don't give him the credit in those types of conversations of players, because everybody equates the ring culture into it. Maybe Dame's just content with pulling up, knocking down insane threes, putting up the stats, and going home to all the money that he, you know, was hoping for when he started. Because, you know, Dame's not going to be in the conversation for top player, like top 5 player. So he doesn't have that, I guess, pressure.
It's all like, I always see this little image come up every now and then. It's all like how it started, how it's going. And it has Damian Lillard on each side. And it's all like 1 rookie of the year, 0 championships, 0 All-NBA, 0 not All-Star, sorry, but like 0 this, and that. And then it's like how it's going. 1 rookie of the year, 0 championships, 0 blah, blah, blah. Like same thing. It's all like, so I feel like at this point, Lillard has gone as far as he can, team-wise, because obviously he's Lillard, great player. He'll get his, but most likely in a losing effort. So at this point, you know, it's just how like, if he's gonna stay in Portland, cool. I'm not mad, because you're getting money for yourself, your future generations, you know. But I'm just tired of hearing this. I'm loyal to here because I'm not running from the grind. Anything else you got to say about this?
So he's currently in the second year of a 4-year extension. Damn, he's making $42 million this year, 45 at age 33, and then 48 at age 34. I mean, here's my thought too. So for me, maybe Dame just wants to see what happens with Portland, give it the best shot, and then maybe after the 24-25 season, that's when he'll start ring chasing and start being that like key veteran guard off the bench. Because I mean, I don't see his game declining that hard, but I could see him maybe at that point willing to embrace that type of challenge. I mean, because I also try to think too for players. I try to put myself in their position. I'm like, all right, if I have a kid, am I able to move them around as easy? Am I able to have them follow me around the NBA as I, you know, now I'm in the last phase of my career, which I'm not saying Dame is there, because Dame is still out there going crazy. Shout out to him. Single-handedly put my fantasy basketball team on the on his back. But yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think of motivations, because, you know, he doesn't have to worry about being compared to Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, Wilt, Magic, everybody. Like, you know, he's his own player. He's made his mark on the game. You know, maybe in his eyes, he's like, if the ring comes, great. If not, you know, I'm a Portland legend, you know?
So at this point, I don't see him, I mean, like how you said, he's in the second year of his 4-year contract extension. I don't see him dropping off, because this man, like how we see it now, he's still going to have the 3-point shot, you know. Maybe, if anything, he won't be as quick off the dribble. But, like, other than that, it doesn't matter. If you can shoot threes in the NBA, you'll have a job. But, yeah, man, that's all I have. Anything else you want to say before wrapping it up?
Oh, man, I can't wait till LeBron passes it to Bronny and he passes it to Dame in the corner, and the Lakers win the championship in 4 years.
I don't think Lakers will have that high of a draft pick to get Bronny, because now he's projected to go top 10. So who knows? But yeah, man. So today is April 6th. We're going into the final weekend of the NBA's regular season. Just real quick before we take off. Bucks clinched number 1. Nuggets clinched number 1. Bucks clinched number 1 in the East. Nuggets clinched number 1 in the West. Last night, Clippers beat the Lakers to take control of the 5th seed. Lakers still 7th seed. So hopefully by the next week's episode, we'll be talking about Lakers getting ready for a 6th seed at least, and not the play-in. But I guess we'll see next week when we come back. So I just want to say, Alex, anything? Sorry, I already asked, but anything else you want to say before we take off?
Before we go, with the baseball season back in full swing, I'm dropping a daily article on what you expect, the website, the Twitter, check them out. I have the Hot Corner where I drop my pitcher props every day, so go there, check it out. kind of heating up right now. So take advantage while the lines are soft, and tune into Royalty. Socials are Royalty Network on all platforms, and look out for our next episode. And we got to get you on the pod.
Sure.
Because I know Denny's going to bring up the Eagles.
I want to be ready. I want to be ready.
There's going to be no sports on
space.
Believe me, every time someone talks sports and Denny comes for their team, the Saints are just easy pickings, man.
Yeah. Nah, man. So definitely, whenever you want me to come on, just let me know. I'm down. And thank you for being here for us. Another episode of the Sports Planet podcast. To everyone watching or listening, make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. You can also find these episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share it, whatever you want to do. And so just follow us on all these platforms at Sports Planet Pod. And thanks for tuning into this episode. And we'll catch you guys in the very next episode of the Sports Planet Podcast.
Life is good. I've decided.